You're leading a renowned company in Bangladesh. So if the young generation would like to follow you or want to learn from you, did you really aspire to be a leader in your childhood or student life?
Well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me to this dialogue. Well, in my childhood, I was always serious in studies, and I wanted to be somebody, but I didn't think as a leader, but I wanted to have a career. I was focused. And when I finished, I qualified. Just before qualifying chartered accountant, I started my career in BRAC. I had a passion for a development sector, but I always balanced my life because of my children. I thought because being in the development field, going into the field visit and all. When I started my working life at that time in Bangladesh, no childcare center or this kind of daycare centers.
In the workplaces?
Yeah, was not available at that time. So I decided, then I joined in my professional side. Then I practiced as a professional accountant. I became a partner of a chartered accountants firm. But when my son left for studies abroad, then there was a vacancy. There was an ad in PKSF, it's a Polykormoshay Foundation. It's in the development sector because I had that passion. So I joined there as Deputy Managing Director.
I see.
So, of course...
you also served in other private
from
NGOs.
BRAC, I was in several development. I worked with SIDA, I worked with ActionAid International. Even when I was in ActionAid International, I was financial controller. At that time, ActionAid was working in 20 countries, and I was the first female financial controller at that time. So gradually, I have been going up the ladder. And
you developed yourself, and then you went up.
So gradually in the decision-making role.
I'll be coming to you, but a supplementary question, like when you thought of, engaging yourself in chartered accountancy, was it your personal choice or sort of family assistance, influence, or someone you saw or followed in your family, then you decided to go to this sector?
When I studied chartered accountancy, I didn't know much about chartered accountancy, but I had some role model. I saw Mr. Kamrul Huda, chartered accountant at that time, and few of the seniors one. So I was inspired, and it was my choice at that time to think of chartered accountancy. From my family, initially they didn't want that I should go for this because usually it was a long course, and to go for audit and all this during that time, it was a little bit challenging. But later on,
took up that challenge.
I studied my chartered after my marriage.
Okay, that's more challenging.
Most of the studies are after my marriage, after college then.
It's good to know that you took up that challenge and then you reflected it in your professional life. Let's also hear from our another panelist, Sania Bashir Kabir. You're representing Microsoft Bangladesh, and also I know you are in charge of some other countries as well. Would you please also say about the same thing, how you have reached to this, the peak of your career? And we know Microsoft is very renowned because it's a brand name, and you are representing that company. Sonia.
So to me, leadership is not a role, it's more of an attitude where I think of a few things as a leader. One is you own the team. You take responsibility and the risks for yourself and for the company. And then you, when there is credit due, you pass it to the team. So a leader's role is more of an attitude. And I've never sought the role. It's kind of evolved as I've grown. And I think one of the things that is very important to me when I think of myself and my career is that I view complacency as a disease. I don't think I like to do the same things. I like to challenge myself and take more responsibilities and do what hasn't been done before. And as a woman in technology, especially in Southeast Asia, the challenges are a bit higher because you compete in a man's world. But it is a very rewarding experience to be taking that risk.
Okay. And like when the viewers would be interested to know about your story, how, I mean, you have become successful in the sector. What was your sort of education and sort of role model or inspiration in your life?
I finished high school and then I got married. So I moved to Silicon Valley where my husband was. And I think the academia there, I have a Bachelor of Science degree and an MBA. But having worked in the Valley, I was exposed to the world of technology. And that is where my passion came for technology. And I worked for high-tech companies in Silicon Valley. I worked there for about 15 years and I moved back to Bangladesh in 2006. And that is how my career has shaped because of the influence of Silicon Valley. Okay. I kind of brought it back to Bangladesh, and it was it was a great experience because we have a digital Bangladesh initiative. So technology is given a lot of importance. And I'd also like people to know that technology does not mean it's not rocket science like you have to be a NASA scientist. Technology is an enabler. It can cut through any vertical from education to health to agriculture. Sure. And that's where my passion is, that how can I continue to grow pushing technology in different fields. And my growth has been starting from the Valley and then coming back to Bangladesh.
Thank you, Appa. Let's also hear from Rupali Chaudhary, Managing Director. As I was talking, we see you very much visible in media, newspaper, having partnership with different companies, representing Barger, the renowned company in Bangladesh. How you have become successful in the sector?
Actually, I was a happy-go-lucky person when I was young. I never have any dream of becoming, managing director, let alone working for any corporate world. I just wanted to be economically independent. I studied science, and after doing science, actually at that time, now my husband at that time, my friend and my brother, and they said that, you can study MBA. So I didn't have any slightest idea about MBA. Then I studied MBA. I think that's the defining moment. Okay. And after that, I joined an office and a company called Sibagagi. I worked there. And every role I wanted to play, I didn't want to fail. Okay. So studying MBA, I didn't want to fail. Fear of failure. And also in the corporate world, I didn't want to fail. So I just wanted to be successful in the role I was given. Okay. So it's a complete evolutionary process. So one step at a time.
You gradually developed yourself.
Yeah, I just gradually developed. And then one fine morning, I thought that, I can do this job better than any other person. And then, I was offered that role. And I have been working as managing director for the last 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
And I should say a very successful managing director in the Bangladesh sector. And we, as I mentioned, see some success stories of your career. We'll get back to you with some more areas and issues. Let me connect Dr. Rehnuma Karim from US. Would you also reflect some of your ideas and issues with our panelists?
Definitely. So the same question as you have heard, like how did you came into this leadership position? I will start with our Honorable Mayor Margie Blackman and then Narmin and then to Katie.
I came into it somewhat accidentally. I never intended to be mayor. I never took a course in political science. I never intended to be in government. But I came out of academia. I was at the college at Brockport for 30 years as a professor of anthropology. I actually got into government in a sense through our urban trees, which I loved. It was something that I loved, and I ended up chairing the village's tree board. And I spent a lot of time before the village board seeing government in action, asking for money for trees, that sort of thing. And a position became available on the village board. I was retired, I ran for it, I won, and then a couple of years later people said I should run for mayor. And so I did, and I ended up in this position sort of at the end, a kind of an encore career in retirement. But it's been a very rewarding one, and I'm in my second term as mayor, and I love the connections. I love the problem solving, and I also put my anthropology background to work in doing the job.
When we are talking, when Ms. Zakari will talk, that's good. Okay, Ms. Zakari.
I've been in the corporate world most of my career, and I think always an entrepreneur at heart. And when I was introduced to strengths at Xerox through the Xerox Leadership Association, I think I never looked back. So I'm right now enjoying both my full-time career at Xerox and serving also on the Xerox Leadership Association and impacting, working with other Xerox employees, all of us elevating our ability to lead, and enjoying working with individuals and focusing on strengths.
Thank you.
It kind of came by chance.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes, sometimes leadership also, the universe pushes you to the leadership roles. And Ms. Dembski.
So when I came to college, I wasn't necessarily sure what I was going to do. I'm a political science major, so I took a course on women in government, and it really inspired me to say, why not me? I'm passionate about this. I want to advocate for students, so why not take this next step? And I saw other women in leadership roles across our campus and in our community, so I just decided to run and kind of take the chance, and then I won. So
And you're enjoying it.
I am, yes, for sure.
That's great. And I would like to really thank the panel for shedding the light on the path of leadership. It's so important, the journey, how we come into leadership. So thank you for sharing your life experience with us.